Good afternoon, everyone. This event is part of the 14th Bienal of Habana. Roberto Diago, one of the artists, Cuban artists, member of the team All Roads Lead to Roma. And on my other side, the director of the Fine Arts Museum of Havana, who was also part of the director of the Bienal of Havana. He's going to introduce you to the artist of today, and we'll have the privilege to talk to him. I think today is a very important day for all of us. Well, for me, it's a privilege comes from a family tradition.
Roberto Diago, un artista que marcó la escena del arte de este país, muere con apenas 34 años cuando estaba apenas creador. Pero bueno, ahí está el museo, conserva uno de los primeros. El abuelo, y no partió también de esa frase del ángel que a mí siempre me marcó cuando la leí por primera vez.
When I read it for the first time.
El ángel regresa a Cuba en los años 40. El momento de esa cultura también del casino, del club. Hay algo realmente que no le gustaba.
There was something that he didn't like.
Veía también en la cultura cubana.
He saw also in Cuban painting.
Cierto folclorismo, cierta banalidad.
So
es una frase muy dura, ¿no?
Shallowness is very hard for those who were knowledgeable about music. Down to cha-cha-cha, there's an echo that seems that it's disturbing. We need to check on the mic. At that moment, down to cha-cha-cha. For the artists of my generation, Cuban artists, they didn't understand when I talked about taking back the Cuban, Afro-Cuban music. They thought it was about evil and a little black man, but I wanted to reflect the advantages of the Afro-Cuban music. Ricardo Porto, he made the art schools. The architecture of the 50s in Havana was like the focalization of the city of Havana, and it was of the Afro-Cuban culture, the Afro-Caribbean culture. I believe that Diago has a challenge because he's younger than all of these artists that we have mentioned, to just rescue its own style, not just reflecting the African culture, but just taking this fissure that for many, many, many years was a taboo topic in fine arts. When we were creating a revolution and drawing the guidelines of the revolution, anything related to the black culture was racism. So no decree, no law can change these symbols and the meaning of art. This subtle racism that is still preserved in fine art, that the way of talking about current prejudice, to talk about current social issues, history, tradition of this country, linking this to community problems, how to treat and reflect the real Cuba with no paternalism or no racism or pejorative feeling, but just reflecting and taking this as a greater symbol for the arts, in the arts name. And one feels it, and how this was achieved through his art, how he could use this fine language to reflect through his art, through his painting installations. The object becomes one thing. For me, one of the best expositions and the one I enjoy the most, and I was actually, during my time as a director of this institution, it was the exposition entitled The Power of Your Soul. One of the most difficult things when you're doing the creation of an exposition is to make one exposition as one sole piece. And we saw that with Diago. Just back there in this room, we used the woods, and we did like we had to clean all the wood. The world of the art, it's very common to see many artists using tattoos. And the tattoos in black skin, the scars and the black skin after tattoo. And at the end, that scar is also a metaphor to talk about paradigm and how something can be just biological and natural, and it just cleans away the prejudice. And at the end, as we walked through the exposition, it just arrived, when we arrived at the last section of the room, and it was all black. We made an exposition of videos with a collection, and we said, we're not going to paint the room white, and there was only a scar coming from the roof all the way down to the floor. That in the space was something that reminded me that just a ray of light getting into the room, just understanding the space times this. We have other artists in his work, all of those who in one way or another have enriched his universe, artistic universe, and that is synthesized in an art that can talk about Cuba, can talk about Africa, can talk about the Caribbean, and how this can function in the universe and in the world. This piece and this exposition, that was Oviedo was also the curator of it. Paths that don't lead to Rome. They have placed this monument to forgiveness. And I think Diago has not healed yet. There's not enough forgiveness, and we have to keep alert and pay attention to the passive phenomena that exist in our society, and there's a lot of work to do ahead. That smell of weed and that smell of slave is that we should never forget, and every day we should remember and remembrance all of this situation in Cuba and outside. Well, you can talk a lot better than me of this. I give you the word. I would like to thank you all for being here. Thank you very much. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Bienal work, what is happening during these days. First of all, I have to say I'm very happy. This is an event that has not, we have not left to die. There was an intention, and we got it through in the middle of so many economic situations. And it was not even a thought not to do the Bienal in Cuba, to talk and express themselves in such difficult times that we've all been through. The Bienal that has been for so long in Cuba, we're still here, and the Bienal is still alive. So actually, all of the difficult things we've gone through have made us all be more creative. It's an art in progress, it's an art in experiment. And many artists have just rethought their pieces of art and remake their pieces of art, and that was not made before. And this new edition has been very different, and the dialogue, artist and audience, has been also different. So I was very, very happy when you gave me this choice to make this exposition, all of the artists that have been here at my place. And I take this opportunity to make this piece possible. So, once again, I'm very happy. Just ask me questions. I want to relax. Ask me questions. I'll be happy to answer. If there's anyone who would like to ask a direct question. Why the monument to forgiveness? Why the need to have forgiveness, to heal all of the wounds that we could have? In the context of this exposition, all of the heels of colonization and slavery. When I was doing this piece some time ago, when I actually thought about it, I thought of an altar of men. That was the first name that came to mind. Altar to the men. I was reading the Grandma newspaper of 1 month ago, and there was a big issue about President of Mexico, who the people wanted him to ask for forgiveness to his people because of the native population there. And then the President of Spain. And that, for many people, it seemed like a joke for And then I said, me actually talking all the time about forgiveness, and then there's so many people asking for forgiveness. So then comes the Bienal proposal. And the topic of the Bienal, not all roads lead to Rome, and that's how these idea of the monument to forgiveness came to mind. When I talk about my work, I say my work and not my art, because usually art is something that identifies you as an artist. It takes a long time to comprise an artist art, but this that I bring today is my work. So my generation, we had everything. We had everything, and then in the 90s, we were left with nothing during a special period, and then I had to reinvent myself and do things out of nothing, using just having a lot of difficulties with instruments and materials. Yes, I was saying that I felt your peace. There's science, magic, and an atmosphere around the Afro-Cuban culture. I can feel and see in your work. My question is, the weed that you use in your work. If you can tell us the symbolic meaning of the weed, of the grass in your work. Well, many of my pieces, they treat the topic of the forest and the countryside. It was the only nation that had the first free slave. The first slave was here, and there was always a religious ceremony. There's usually, whenever you make a religious ceremony, there's usually an ambience of the countryside. So I try to recreate that in my work. This energy of the countryside, the grass, the magic of the musicians call this the heart feeling. I try to put that into my piece. So if the piece doesn't talk to me, then I feel it's not good. I think it's very interesting to see a black artist, descendant of Afro-Cubans, to have his work related to the stigmas and prejudice of, and also the marked lives, those lives of black people who have been marked by their legacy, African legacy, how they have been underprivileged in the society. Victims of slavery. And then in modern society, victims of different forms and types of oppression. So I really find interesting, actually, that today, December 10th, it's International Day of Human Rights. We're here with this great artist, and to have the opportunity to talk about his monument to to forgiveness, this piece that reflects a victim of all this oppression and discrimination of the Afro-descendant person. So in that sense, I would like to hear the artist and tell us a little bit, how do you feel about this? Can you tell us a little bit? It also called my attention what Jesus Villalobos said, the use of grass in your work, the dried grass specifically, as one of the poorest and meaningless materials you can use for your art. It's very basic when you say it. How with this poverty, this link and connected with the most natural basic of of nature, you can create something such an imponent magic piece. My personal case, it's hard for many reasonable things that had happened. How this painful past still marks the present today. These days, nothing has been done in our country. Well, a lot has been done in our country. Legally. But there are many prejudices in the population, among the population. And there are many racism problems that are generated. And there are many people who are violent, and when we're looking to other places and focusing on other issues, and we forget about this, and they start to sum up, and at some point they collapse. A lot has been done in Cuba for this. Well, it seems that there is something normal to have just a tank of water, and there are many people who didn't have a tank of water before. So in the middle of the 21st century to face so many economical problems in many black ghettos and many black neighborhoods. And it's amazing how the Cuban government has to put their hand and worked really hard to get better conditions to this neighborhood. So there is a political drive and heart towards the government to change how things are in this poor neighborhood. And I'm sure the future will be a lot better because the present still looks good. And through my work, I try to transmit all of this. These are very difficult times, but we're going to put our hearts in it. Is there anybody who would like to ask any question? This is a talk with the artist, so this is our opportunity to discover something about his work, to interact with him, and find information about the Bienal of Habana, any feature of his work. my intention is to continue transforming my art and keep on working. I also like to work on photography a little bit, and burn photography. That this is an idea I've been in my mind for quite a long time, and I think that's going to be my next exposition. There is another information that we're processing. The smell is very important because it makes the mind fly and reflect the ambience. The smell of burned wood. That is an ironic piece, I'll call it, because we have the image of presidents, doctors, and athletes. And the irony is that even when we have advanced and many we have reached positions of power, it's still there are tears of coal, and the smell plays a very important role in this work. I think generally speaking, Diago's work uses the perception of all five senses. We have visual information, but also the touch, the smell, like the burned wood, metal. Even when you don't touch it, you have this dogmatic and pragmatic sensation of how it feels and what it means. Also the colors. I think it's a work that communicates through all five senses. And I'd like to ask you something, yeah. For us, it was our first intention to make this exposition dynamic, not just the same exposition during these 5 months that is the duration of the Bienal. We want every day to change expositions for it to bring something different and new. So we add a new work of Jose Chacon entitled Esquizos. It's all about a research of medicinal plants. But even when this was our intention as curators to bring something new every day, did you have the opportunity to exhibit a play that you could change every day and transform it through as a process? Have you done this before? No, this is the first time, because usually you think as the final project, usually. And when you came up with this idea and came to me with it, it actually motivated me because it's crazy. It gives life to a Bienal and a spark. It brings a spark of creation and makes us, the artists, want to put our heart and mind into it. When we're talking about with the artists, especially Manuel López Oliva, who came to us with the idea that the Bienal should be a live laboratory. And that's what we wanted to recreate in our Bienal, so that it's like a factory creating art. It's not a museum, it's something live and transforming. I'd like to thank you for this and for the courage to face this, We, the creators, we're at our workshops working and coming up with ideas. And just the responsibility, the logistics, and all of what involves making a Bienal, an event like this, the design, the organization, and to make it through and make it succeed, it's quite a challenge. So the Bienal still is the most important event of fine arts in Cuba, not just in Cuba, but also in the third world, because it's the way we have to express ourselves and with the audience. Without marketing, without promotion, without the idea of getting a sale, just creating art, liberty of expression, that what has identified the Bienal in Havana. Yes. We have decided to organize this 14th Bienal of Havana. We owe a lot to Jorge's guidance and support. This have given a lot of opportunity to the artists to move outside of the mechanism and the patterns they usually follow whenever they want to sell their work. The other day we were having a conversation. And we were saying that the Bienal of Havana have been also working with community, with the people, and we still have to keep on working. The documentary of Alejandro Ramirez had a great impact. This filmmaker, he film producer, who was talking about the industry of sugar industry closure. It was not just industry as such for the economy, but it was actually a culture that was created from it. And now he made a documentary just going through the towns and the villages and how people live there. And then
quería comentarte hasta qué punto ese tipo de conexión, como tú te la imaginas, como tú la piensas.
So how do you imagine the connection of the social aspect related to the Bienal? How do you connect your work with the social aspect of this event? Raciel used an example. It was, he said, he quoted René Francisco. He talked about the project of Romarillo. He commented us about the video, how he saw it in the Bienal in Sao Paulo. So he said, we saw the forms of art, now we have to see the forms of life. And I would like to know how, and also the most important was not the museum, but what happened in that place. As an artist, that need to connect with the social aspect, what is happening right now, what is happening in Cuba right now. How do you see this happening in your work? Well, the work in the communities are important. We, the creators, many of us come from faraway towns, provinces, And we started to make our career thanks to, and at some point we departed from this reality of our childhood, of these community projects we participated and we grew with. Many artists graduated in art instructor schools and art schools, community art schools. I remember we worked with children. Mercedes Peñaranda, who was one of our professors. The country goes up and down, and at some point we disconnect with our roots, and there was something very important in every neighborhood. It was the house of culture. In Marianao, there was a house of culture in the community. They had all instruments and rooms, and it was amazing. They had concerts. Music professors would go there. There were orators, and because of economic reasons, it was canceled and no longer opened its doors to the community. Today, many artists are linked and connected with the society and the community, and it's also a way to rescue this audience. For me, it's very important to work with children because they're going to be the artists of the future. So those are the ones we need to pay attention to and give the tools they need for creation. We're doing things, but we have to create specific policies towards these objectives. The galleries, the community galleries, the vacations, galleries are open, but I think the artist should, or the community responsible should take children there to the galleries, not wait for them to go by themselves. We have to touch the people, touch doors, and that cannot die. We cannot let it die. We have to keep on working on that. We've done some work, but we still need more to do. I would like to ask Diago if he would like to comment. Do you have any anecdote related to any Bienal participation you've ever had before, interacting with the audience, or any other experience that have marked your artistic life associated with specifically to other editions of the Bienal? Well, the Bienals have been always wonderful. They have moved these projects, artistic projects of Cuba. The project that was done, we made a festival of food, photography festival, an artistic choir with children. It was a very nice project, and it touched me. The president of the committee was responsible to deliver courses every other Saturday of each month, but still the project is still alive. It was very nice to participate.
Bueno, yo entre las intenciones que tiene esta edición de la Bienal.
One of the intentions that this Bienal has.
Vamos a pedir a Jorge que tiene que irse a otra cosa.
Jorge is going to leave us. He has to attend other issues. Among the objectives of the 14th Bienal of Havana, it's to develop the work of artists that have projects in communities, neighborhoods. Next Sunday at 5 o'clock, we have a project in Regla, organized by the Center Bahia. It's correct, it's at 4 o'clock. The project of Regla, right at the mouth of Regla's Dam. The artist has this project, is one of the projects of the Bienal, and we have the privilege to be in contact with and to know of other projects of other artists, not only in Havana but outside of Havana. And one of the things that we're more interested in right now, we are lucky enough and have the privilege to see how the artists, when they get into community and they just set their studio in one specific place, they try to renovate that area and to create a bond with the community. And at the end, the people, the youngest people, children, they start to appreciate art in a different way. They see life and have a different vision of art in life in general. So you have I know you have a secret project, in a mountain, and I don't know, you'd like to share that with us. Yes, I was living in Saroa with my family. And there is a project we're developing there, little by little. My wife likes agriculture very much, so we're linking art with agriculture. So it's a workshop of graphic art, and that's the primary idea of this project. So it's also, I don't know if you know that in Saroa there's a hotel. There's national and international tourism. And there are not many offers, and then we thought, why don't we do something like nature with art? So we're thinking about a sculpture garden, and we're coming up with more fresh ideas. There's a small school there, only 24 children. The dance and music teachers go there all the way up to the mountains to teach. So we're also going to teach guitar.
Este tipo de acciones, bueno, de pues sí, hemos hablado también en algunas ocasiones que esta Bienal tiene mucho interés en cosas que van de lo que conocemos tradicionalmente
many occasions that the Bienal goes beyond just the visual art. On December 18, we're going to have a count of migratory birds in Guanabo at 8 o'clock with the people of the community of San Antonio de los Baños, especially children. And that is something that may seem not related to an event such as the Bienal of Havana, but we want to take the notions of art to another level and enrich the art with this community project. So we're also thinking of coming up with a fair of exchange in seats. And many people said, well, what does it have to do with art? And then we say it's art is aesthetic, it's appreciation when you get into a market. The beauty of the seats and the variety of the seats also is impressive. It's also part of the aesthetic of art. And we may include that in Project of Soroa as part of the Bienal activities. Your younger daughter would be interested in that, I believe. All that is everything in the name of life and art will be welcome. And art should be always present in our lives. The Bienal is life, it's on food, and it's creating art every day. With our hearts, we've made this function, and we'll continue working and moving on. Well, I don't know if any of you have questions. Any questions? Well, if not, well, we give a closure to this event. Before we end, I'd like to say that for the organizers of the Bienal of Havana, it has been a pleasure to work with an artist such as Roberto Diago, and all of the artists who have been with us in this great adventure that to create a Bienal in the middle of so many difficulties.